News understands the UK will be forced this month to agree to increase defence spending to 3.5% of national income within a decade. That's as part of a NATO push to rearm and keep the US on side. That's despite Sir Keir Starmer declining to commit in the wake of yesterday's strategic defence review to increasing spending to 3%, instead insisting it remains an aim for the next Parliament. Well, I'm joined by Security and Defence Editor Deborah Haynes to talk us through this development. So, Deborah, tell us about this NATO push and just how much that might clash against what the British government really wants to do.
Well, we've known for a long time that Mark Rutte, the head of NATO, wants his allies to spend more on defence, and he has been firming up around this goal of 3.5% of national income for hard military power. So not things like spy agencies or pensions, but actual military strength. And then he's talking about another 1.5% of GDP to be spent on defence-related areas. So that could be things like infrastructure, roads, railways, airports, seaports, things that help the military to mobilise in a crisis. And that would obviously add up in total to a general defence spend of 5%. This is a target that Donald Trump has set for his NATO allies. And the US president, along with all the rest of the leaders of the alliance, are due to be meeting in the Netherlands later on this month. And many allies are stepping forward and making firm on a commitment to try to get up towards that 5% goal. And the UK has been a bit of an outlier. Of course, the Prime Minister said he's going to increase defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027. And then this ambition of 3% by the next Parliament. But I was speaking to a senior defence source a couple of weeks ago who was saying to me that, how can the UK talk about NATO first, talk about being a leader in NATO, and then being last in the queue when it comes to shuffling forward and actually stepping up and meeting that commitment. And I've been speaking to other people in the last couple of weeks about exactly this. And I understand that there is an expectation now within Whitehall, among officials in Whitehall, that government policy is going to change and that the Prime Minister will agree as he meets for this NATO summit to align with his allies in this pledge to go up to 3.5%. I understand that it could be by 2035. So within a decade, that's a little bit more time than the NATO chief wants. He's talking about 2032. But there is bemusement as well within the Ministry of Defence about why the government has been tying itself in knots over the last few days over this earlier pledge around 3%. If they all know secretly or privately or suspect, they're going to have to step up. They launched this massive defence review yesterday, and right in the centre, all the way through that, was this idea of NATO first. The UK can't claim to be a leading member of NATO if it's not leading from the front and stepping up with defence spending in line with what the NATO Secretary-General is asking for. I understand that the Prime Minister is going to be having discussions about exactly this. There's a sense it's obviously political. Is he going to invest in warfare or welfare? But it is a choice. We are a democracy. And clearly, the fact that he is taking time on this really underlines the difficulty of the decision. Clearly, this is about mounting threats from countries like Russia, also keeping the US on side. Donald Trump has said the European allies need to stop relying on America to protect Europe. But also, Keir Starmer needs to think about domestic politics too. And so clearly that's why this decision is taking a bit of time to actually be made and announced.